Good morning, everybody. My name's Peter Cooke. I'm a DCI from Staffordshire Police, and a few years ago now, I was Dave's DI in the CID up in Stoke-on-Trent, and we're going to go through a story of that. And first bit, I should introduce myself. Peter Cooke. I'm a white male. I'm a dad with silverish, darkish hair, sort of. And
yep, Dave Stubbs. Same, a white male, slim, as you can see. Best let you. This is normally a 90-minute presentation that I've been told got to get into the 30 minutes, so challenge is on. So
yeah, and we're already behind time, so we'll keep going and we'll talk you through the demise of Eric. Okay, there you go. So Dave.
Yeah, basically. It's a really weird situation. I'm one of the few people that can say COVID saved my life. So I've been working in CID, for those detectives in the room. You all know how busy CID office is. And for a number of years, I've been suffering really bad headaches. And like everyone else, I was taught by a colleague into going and seeing a doctor because of the headaches. And I think I made the mistake that everyone makes. They presume it's stress. So I remember going into the doctor and saying, I keep getting these headaches, doctor. I'm a police officer, really busy, and I think it's stress. And straight away, that's what the doctor puts down as stress. So it went on, and
it's all right.
Yeah.
You jumped ahead, Dave. But
sorry.
We're saving time.
Saving time. Yeah, so I had, this is my train of thought now.
So Dave's Dave's a Fed rep, and he hasn't said that. And when I landed in the CID, Dave was the Fed rep, and Dave had got a Twitter account, which at the time was really, really active, and used to cause me all sorts of griefs with the posts that he'd make, and then the senior officers would then get hold of and right, come on, sort that out, take that down, do whatever, or so. Some of the symptoms that Dave had were manifesting themselves in the post that he was making, in the headaches that he'd got at the time, and I'll let you pick up there.
Yeah, and it's really strange because I got a fixation on work. I'll be the first one in the office, last to leave. I'd do some stupid shifts, 27 hours straight. Really became fixated on work and say, as the boss says, the rants. I then started to get some problems with my vision and sleep problems. Very, very strange. I was living with this for years and just putting up with it. And I say I only went to the doctors once, who said, yeah, you're a little bit stressed. And it was day-to-day living. And I say the 21st of June, 2021 was the day that sort of COVID changed my life. And it was on that day, it was during obviously the lockdown. And I'd been at Staffordshire University with a DS and a few colleagues on some training. And the DS got a call whilst he was there saying his wife's just tested positive for COVID. So he had to go. And I had some vulnerable family members. And by chance, there was a walk-in COVID test centre next to the university. So I went, told a few white lies, said I had symptoms. I didn't, but I got myself tested. And then lo and behold, the next day, I had the phone call saying you've tested positive for COVID. You're going to have to isolate. So a couple of days, no symptoms at all. And then suddenly, a couple of days in, I can only describe as like an explosion in my head. And for those of you who've done scuba diving, it was like being held 50 meters underwater. The pressure that I felt, the only way I could get any sleep was by kneeling down on the floor, my forehead resting against the settee. And then I lost strength. I couldn't clench this fist. I couldn't lift this arm up. And I ended up phoning the doctors saying, Doctor, I think I've got long COVID. And again, there's a lot of little miracles in my story. And our doctors wouldn't see anyone in COVID at all. But for whatever reason, he said, I need to see you. I need you to come in. And I went in and he did some strength tests and then sent me, said, you need to have a CT scan. And what I now know, because I ended up getting all my medical notes, is he had wrote brain tumour ? All the way back then. And yeah, so went.
So I suppose to pick up on the themes of the conference, really from a management and organisational point of view at this time, as with everybody in this room will have been doing, we're trying to look after each other. We're trying to look after our families. We're trying to look after our family in the workplace, as in the teams that we all work with and that we're part of. And we were with Dave just trying to get him, because we knew he was so keen, he was so entrenched in the middle of the CID office, that he wanted to get back into work. But we knew that Dave needed some help at this time, so we were pushing him towards going to the hospital and getting himself checked out. So hopefully. So then you got the slide, the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, this is one day that I'll never forget. It was the 28th of July in 2021. I was actually working in my capacity as a Fed rep. I was with the welfare van at the opening of the National Police Memorial at the Arboretum in Lichfield. And I was there and my phone had been going off all day. I say I'd had this CT scan. Phone was going off all day. Didn't answer it because Prince of Wales was there. Obviously now King Charles was there opening the event. And when I got home that evening, I had a number of missed calls. And one was from the doctor's surgery. Saying you need to call us ASAP. Now, we've got to put a little bit of a health warning on this. Some parts of this I do still find difficult to talk about. I won't end up in a ball of snot and tears, don't worry. And there'll also be some bad language, but that's part of the story. So I apologise if anyone is offended. But yeah, so phoned the doctor, and it was a 20-minute conversation. And to this day, only things I can remember is you've got a brain tumour, you're at risk of stroke, and you can't drive. That's all I can remember from that. In that instant, my whole life, my whole world fell apart just like that. And very look at our current, or who was our Federation chair, Phil Jones. His wife happened to be a senior sister at the local A&E. At Royal Stoke, which also is a brain specialist hospital as well, luckily. But he spoke to his wife, and his wife said, right, this is what you got to do. Because the doctor had said, right, you need an emergency MRI. Sometime in the next 6 weeks, you'll get a letter to go for the MRI. Phil's wife said, no chance. What you've got to do, 7 o'clock in the morning, turn up at A&E. Say what you've been diagnosed with and say these are the symptoms you're having. And do not leave the hospital until you've got a treatment plan. Because the NHS, brilliant if you're an inpatient, absolutely brilliant. But as an outpatient, how busy they are, you'll get missed and there'll be a long wait. So we did that, took that advice, went up to the A&E, had MRI, which confirmed the tumour.
Okay.
So, right, this is my actual scan. So, and I'm going to mention Eric. You'll see Eric, the Satsuma on the table. I'll tell you where that's come from. So this is my actual tumour there on this one, and it is the size of the average Satsuma. And what happened in this, I've got 4 children, 3 grown-up girls, and a lad who at the time was only 9. And what I've been told, and this was really difficult, was the tumour's too big for any treatment, other than you've got to have emergency brain surgery, and you might not survive. And if you do survive, you'll be paralysed down your right-hand side, you won't be able to communicate, you won't be able to speak, and you'll be blind. That's if I survive. So you can imagine the impact that had. And my little lad, I say he was only 9, and potentially obviously I won't be around in a matter of 3 weeks, because I was booked in for 3 weeks' time for this surgery. How would you tell a 9-year-old? And we decided, our decision, myself and the wife, he needs to know. He's 9, he soaks up everything, it wouldn't be fair. So the wife, and explained to him, went to the kitchen, got a Satsuma. This is what's in Daddy's head. And he took it off her, drew an evil face on it, and he kept it with him until I'd come out of the surgery. And by the end of it, it was black and hairy and everything. Yeah, so hence Eric. On Friday, someone in the audience, because we did this presentation in Staffordshire, someone started eating Eric, not realising.
They are safe to eat on the table.
They are safe to eat, yes.
Yeah, if you want to.
So yeah, and again, this is the other thing. I deal with this through humour, and it's not taking the mickey out of anyone suffering a brain tumour or any disability, but it's the way that I cope, because if I don't try and turn it into a positive and make something good from it, I would wallow in self-pity, and I probably wouldn't be alive now. So right from the start, I had to turn everything into a positive. So there's the images of my tumour.
Right, okay. And I suppose there's the other bit for me to pick up. So as Dave's line manager at the time, and with his DS from his team, it was all about, actually, this is some of the worst news that you could possibly have. So how do we manage this for one of our members of the staff? There's obviously a really significant impact on Dave and his family. But also there's the impact that has on the team that he works with, and then the wider team within the department, because, you know, Dave, as Stubbsy, as everybody calls him, he's our detective Fed rep, and he's been there for loads of people, and he's helped out loads of people. So how do we help Dave? How do we help him as best we can to try and make all the things that he's going through as easy as possible? And it was just about actually knowing Dave, where he wallows in self-pity. There was a part there of just trying to be positive, and just encouraging, going and sitting and talking with Dave, spending some time with him, making sure that members of the team had the time, felt that they had the freedom from a busy day job, because we've all got busy day jobs, that actually they're supported from the line management point of view of, right, if you need to go and spend half an hour with Stubbsy or an hour up at Stubbsy's house, then that's more than fine. You do it during the duty day. We expect you to go and see him. We want you to go and see him because you should, because he's part of us as a team. Okay. Oh, right. So dealing with it through humour,
yes,
aren't we now, Dave?
We are.
Right,
so, yeah,
hopefully.
If you click on the next slide. So who knows Homer Simpson? Yeah. Men in Black 3. And this is my favourite. Who remembers the movie Alien?
It's a remarkable likeness, isn't it?
How scary is that? Yeah. Well, that in effect, and all serious, that alien is what was growing in my head. That, you know, that was slowly killing me. You know, so as much as I take the mickey out of it, that picture of the alien is probably the most telling of it all.
Okay.
So this really difficult. And this is where I mentioned the whole world fell apart. So there's a picture of my kids. There's my little lad who, obviously, the girls are grown up, so it's a little bit easier to have the conversations, but that was my little lad. He was here from Police Scotland. Yeah, haven't got a clue why. First place, we went, bear in mind, potentially 3 weeks left to live, got in the car, went as far as we could north into the Highlands. Haven't got a clue why. Now, probably running away, you know, but we just went, bit of peace and quiet, just me, the wife, and the lad. I haven't got a clue, I say, to this day. Just right, we're getting in the car, we're going. Also, had to put in last will and testament, had to give in case I survived the surgery, but had all the issues, had to put in lasting power of attorney for health and finances. And I had to go into work and have a conversation with the Federation and the force over, can I be fast-tracked ill health retired? Was I better off dying as a retired officer or dying in service? They are the things that, you know, the impact of that is massive. By the way, you're better off dying in service. I did find out.
So that's good advice from the Fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't want anybody to die in service at all, do we? So, and I suppose picking up that learning as a line manager is really important, and trying to help and support your team members as they're going through this. It's the unwritten bit of what we're meant to do. You're expected to do it. It's what we should do. It's the right thing to do to help your team and help your team members who are poorly, whatever they're going through at that particular time. But this was some of probably the most impactful news that people could get, and it was a difficult time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So these were the. They are really basic. A lot of them things to do, but those basic things, the basic good human things to do, are the things that provide the most support for the people when they need it. So personal visits, as I said before, during duty time, if people have got inquiries up in the part of Stoke-on-Trent where Dave lives, go and see him. Take the time to go in and see him and spend time with him.
Sorry, Pete doesn't take enough credit for this. This was massive in my story. So after surgery, I was literally on my backside for 17 weeks. The wife, as a serving police officer, had to go into work. My little lad was at school, so I was on my own, unable to drive, having all sorts of bizarre thoughts in my head because of the surgery. And this was key. So, Pete, we all know how busy DIs are and under pressure they are. He not only come and saw me at home, he would pick me up and take me out, and we'd sit at a coffee shop for 2 or 3 hours. Yes, he'd have his work's laptop and have to work, but he made that effort, and that I cannot overstate the positive impact that had on me, which, I'll ever be forever grateful to Pete for that. But just why, he doesn't take enough credit for that.
And thank you for that. But from my point of view, it was actually
you wanted to be back at work, didn't you?
I wanted to be back at work. I needed a coffee. The coffee machine was broken in the CID office, so no, it was about we've got to stay in contact. I've got to look after Dave. You've skipped ahead a little bit.
Sorry,
but don't worry. You feel under pressure. Time. We're okay. We're doing all right. Yeah. So Rachel, Dave's wife, as he says, serving cop in Staffordshire. So between me and Rachel's supervision, it was making sure that she had the support that she needed, because your partner is going to be living through this and trying to care for you when you're poorly, but also trying to keep the house running, the day job going, and all those things. So it was making sure that Rachel had the support that she needed from the organisation. That if she was, we all went through COVID and learning to work at home at times. So we were all learning this at the time, and it was right. How can we allow Rachel to still do her job, which is her bit of probably normality?
Because she was at this point, she was full-time carer to me, in effect a single mum to our lad, because I was unable to be involved, and also working full-time. And she's a bugger, because throughout this, she wouldn't take, although it was offered lots of time, she wouldn't take time off because she didn't know how bad it was going to get.
Yeah, and so credit to Rachel there, really massively so, that she wanted to, if she needed to have time off from work, she was almost saving it for the worst case scenario, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, all right. So this is
yeah. Sorry, I did jump on a little bit.
Yeah. No
so
worries.
yeah, this is, and again around the COVID. So during COVID, the first time, the 3 weeks had to go in because of COVID. Rachel couldn't come with me, had to go in on my own. And then we were told, sorry, there's been a COVID outbreak. You need a critical care bed following surgery. There's none available, so we're having to cancel the operation. So the first booking didn't happen, and then, but the consultant, I suppose, consultants, they're like grumpy chief superintendents. They sort of, what they say goes. And the consultant really wasn't happy, and he said, You're on emergency waiting list. As soon as the spot comes up, you will be called in because you need this operation. And then on the 15th, so the night before this, got a phone call at home from his secretary saying, the consultant's really concerned. He needs you in tomorrow for the surgery. However, you do need to sign a disclaimer because you have got COVID on your ward. And by this point, I thought, well, I've already had COVID. It can't get any worse. So I signed away. So very, very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. So have you seen the programs on aircraft carriers and you see all the sailors in different coloured bibs? So when I went down to theatre, and again, this is where COVID again helped me. So Royal Stoke will do, tens and tens of surgeries every day. On this day, I was the only one. And I had the surgeon and the specialist come up to me, and the surgeon said, "Don't worry, you're the only one today. We'll do it right." Thank you. But again, literally, there's probably 25 people, nurses, staff, all wearing different coloured bibs for different jobs, just to operate on me. It was amazing. And then the surgeon says, look that way, and drew an arrow on my neck. He said, that's to make sure we enter the right side of your brain. I said, how do you know you've put the arrow in the right place? And all this, having to go through all this on my own because Rachel wasn't allowed in the hospital. Very quickly. So, I used to keep saying autopsy, didn't I? It was a biopsy. So,
autopsy is a very different thing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Poor old Eric. Brain injury. I can say things and get away with it. So, after surgery, obviously, I come out on it pretty well, as you can see. So, they carried out the biopsy on the tumour. And I had the tumour for between 9 and 14 years, slow growing. So it was grade 1. And I know I've put it on there non-cancerous, but in the brain tumour sort of family, you never use the words benign or non-cancerous because every brain tumour is a killer because it can't grow that way because of your skull, can only push into your brain. And now just where I said COVID saved my life, so the tumour had wrapped around the main artery here and was pushing in and in and in. And that artery was on the verge of bursting. And in the consultant's words, I was weeks away from collapse. And if that had gone even in surgery, it's instant bleed out. There's no coming back from it. So I can generally say COVID saved my life because I wouldn't have known about the brain tumour. And I'm convinced COVID attacks weaknesses in your body and it aggravated my head, which got me to go for help.
Okay. Yeah, so you were dead lucky there, weren't you? Mm-hmm. And obviously, so Dave's, the scan in the middle there shows the bottom right corner of the picture, shows where the brain tumour was. That now, because Dave's had some new
You're
scans.
telling me off, but I've got to mention this. So
yes.
you see this. So they couldn't remove it all. There's a little bit left. And so I have to have regular scans. So I had my latest, because I'm under neuropsychology to try and retrain the brain because I have problems, recall, anything complex. So I can talk to you fine like this. You ask me anything slightly complex, I struggle. So this was literally 2 weeks ago. The neuropsychologist said, I've got your latest scan pictures. I said, oh, brilliant. Can I have a look at them? Mr. Stubbs, I don't think I should show you them. I said, no, I've had all my others. It's fine. No, I really advise against it because I think you'll find it triggering. I think you'll be really upset. I said, why? No, show me, because I'll only ask for them anyway. So she showed me, and unfortunately, I haven't had it in time to show you. So where the tumour is now, if you imagine the brain as a pizza, I've got a slice missing, nothing there. Fluid, and I was like, wow, that's cool.
So for those who maybe just couldn't see the, so if we're talking some sort of 4 o'clock on the clock face down to 5 o'clock, you've now got a hole and a dark section.
Yes,
filled with parts of your brain used to be. But there we go. Right, okay. Against the clock. So the workplace support that Dave has received is still receiving. and will remain ongoing for Dave's reasonable adjustments. First of all, our Chief Constable at the time.
Yeah, it was Emma Barnett. She was Temporary Chief Constable. This picture here, believe it or not, is 3 weeks after my surgery. I had got me Long Service Good Conduct Award, hence the good conduct bit.
Yeah, well done.
And Emma Barnett wanted to present it herself, and I was very lucky to force again. Normally you're only allowed one guest, but all my family was allowed. And Emma Barnett, she saw me and said, Chief Constable, I shouldn't really do this, but I don't care, and ran up and gave me a big hug and kiss. But the look of genuine concern in her eyes and relief, you know, that was massively impactful as well. She wasn't just paying lip service to it, it was genuine.
And then for the line managers and the people who manage staff in the room, for me, my job was just trying to deflect as much as we possibly could from Dave, and don't give him or his family anything else which is going to build on the stress that they're already experiencing. So things like half pay and sick pay. So David, you know, by this time had had a number of periods of sickness. So you start to get into that 6 months and you're triggering half pay. So for me, it was about trying to intercept those letters, work with HR, work with occupational health. And for me then to manage the information flow into Dave and make sure that if I did have to give him some bad news, like there's your half pay letter, although don't worry about it because we've squared it away now with the Chief Constable that you're not going to go on to half pay. I would do that at a time that suited Dave and suited Dave's family and didn't impact on his recovery. The force occupational health support were absolutely golden. But the first time post-surgery that Dave saw the force occupational health doctor, he did get probably a bit of a standard sort of reaction, right? You've had a brain injury, you've had brain surgery, probably going to be moving you towards ill health retirement, which at the time and now still isn't the right thing for Dave. Dave needed to come back into work, and we obviously had to do that through a staged way, but he needed to come back into work to help his recovery, because by coming into work and doing and starting to take on some tasks, meeting people, seeing people, talking to people, that's allowed your brain to start and recover by rebuilding the neurological, there you go, the connections, pathways in his brain. Anything?
Yeah,
and at our clock.
And the biggest thing for me on this is, as a Fed rep, and yeah, I've been a Fed rep for 18 years, all you ever hear is the force is shit, occupational health is shit, welfare shit, no one cares. Actually, the truth is so different. Everything in Staffordshire Police, and it will be the same in all your forces, everything is there to help officers who are going through a crisis. However, the key to it is your line managers, your sergeants and inspectors. They are the ones that plant that seed with HR. They are the ones that plant that seed with Occy Health. You know, if you have supportive sergeant and inspector, you will get officers through hell and have the officer feeling positive.
By the sounds of it, if your line manager's the Chief Constable of Derbyshire, it sounds like the Chief Constable of Derbyshire is doing the right things. And as line managers for us all, that's what we've got to do, isn't it? Is just make it as easy as we possibly can for our staff to come back to work. Now, they should be. So, in summary, with 1 minute and 38 seconds to go, Dave, we're doing okay. These are the things that hopefully all your supervisors, and if you are a supervisor that we need to know our staff, don't we? When at times of crisis, at times of need, we've got to allow them to put their family first. Very big believers in it should be family first, and that's things that I've picked up from supervisors and line managers that I've had. It's all about putting the family first, because we want the best out of our people, and if there's stress and anxiety going on in the background, then we're not going to get the best out of our people at all. Give people the flexibility they need to deal with whatever's going on. and use the support processes that are there in every organisation, and make sure that occupational health, HR, human resources are in the conversations that you're having with your staff members, because it will make them easier. And from a leader, we've got to be proactive in what we're doing. We've got to adjust how we are for each and every person, so that they're getting individual support. But we've got to be consistent with that, and that's what we try to do for Dave. And what Dave, I suppose, just to finish quickly, Dave and I now work in different departments, but I still help Dave when he's had some barriers in the force. Thankfully, now he's in a place where his line management and his supervision are doing exactly what you need to get the best out of you as a cop still, and a serving cop, still doing a really good job.
Yeah, so, and just to finish, so many of you think, oh, you're both detectives, you're mates, so of course you look after each other because you're mates. Me and Pete aren't mates. We are.
We do talk, and I might find the beer later.
What I mean by that is we have a good working relationship. He is my boss. I'm a DC. We don't socialise together. Our wives don't go shopping together. So this isn't a case of Pete knows me, so he's done the welfare. He's done it because that's what he does, and that is the key. And I say that's the thing I'd encourage all sergeants and inspectors. And there's loads more to my story because the impact, I've developed PTSD and a load of issues around brain injuries. I am here for the full 2 days. I'm more than happy to speak to anyone or answer any questions later on.
But that's it from us. Thank you very much.